Welcome to the Dr. Diane Show, where we explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. With over 20 years of expertise as a mindset warrior, perspective shifter, and unshakable optimist, I am dedicated to helping you reach your wildest dreams in business, health, performance, and relationships. Learn about the power of thought and how it shapes your life to take risks, change careers, find love, go on adventures, and live passionately with me, Dr. Diane. Get ready for revolutionary ways of thinking, being, and creating an amazing life. The Dr. Diane Show starts now. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diane Hayden, and you are listening to the Dr. Diane Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, where we will explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul. Every other week on the Dr. Diane Show, we'll have experts from around the country discussing cutting-edge topics on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. I've been studying successful people for years in all areas of life: career, entrepreneurism, health and performance, relationships, spiritual and personal development. And I found that they all have the same 5 characteristics that I believe are essential to making transformational change in your life. And I call this the SPARK method. A few weeks ago, we were talking about the different pillars of my method: self-confidence, passion, and purpose. And today we're going to be talking about action. And the last 2 are resilience and kindness. So just a real quick recap. I actually started developing these 5 characteristics in myself. I've always been pretty self-confident, but I continued to push myself to do things that were out of my comfort zone, both physically and mentally, like traveling alone, rock climbing, taking silent retreats. I spent a year on a passion quest where I really took the time to look at the things I was extremely passionate about, to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, whether that was in a career or in a relationship. What was it that I couldn't not do that actually made me, want to jump out of bed every day? I started meditating and giving myself time to figure out exactly what work I was meant to do in this lifetime. And I worked with, and still do work with, life and business coaches to help me maintain my focus and drive to pursue my ambition. I built my resilience by realizing that failure is a positive thing. And if you're not failing, then your goals and dreams are not big enough. In order to succeed, I believe you actually have to fail. And I gave myself permission to make mistakes and, just be willing to keep trying again. And I implemented a gratitude and kindness practice and tried to find one thing every day that I was thankful for. I learned to forgive myself and others when we both made mistakes. And I really became kinder to myself. So those 5 pillars really are so important in my life. And I just love to talk about them because I think that it's really what differentiates people from, being able to accomplish everything they want to accomplish in their life. So, like I said, a few weeks ago, we talked about self-confidence and passion. And today we're going to discuss the 3rd pillar, which is action. And I love this pillar because I think it's where most of us get stuck or confused or even consumed by fear, and we end up not taking any action towards our goals and dreams. So I'm going to talk a little bit throughout the show today about my strategies for taking action that have worked for me for years, and I've developed daily habits and things like that. And we'll talk a little bit also about my feeling that fear is one of the bigger reasons why we don't move forward, why we don't take action. But I also have a bone to pick, and that's about the movie The Secret. So many of you who are listening today have probably seen the movie The Secret. And while I think it's a great show to open people's minds to the possibility that we really can create anything we want to create with our thoughts and our emotions and our mindset. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions about that movie was that you could basically just sit and think about what you wanted to create and it would magically come into your life. And like I said, you all know I'm a big believer in your thoughts creating your reality. But I think The Secret really led most people astray in terms of leaving out the fact that you need to take action to create your dreams. So, yes, a fundamental part of being able to manifest what you want is having laser sharp focus on it, meditating on it, visualizing it, having a dream board, whatever works for you, but every day spending time actually focusing on what it is you want to create. But you're not going to do that all day long. And the rest of the day, you need to be taking action. So I like to pick up where the secret left off and actually help people with how they do this. How do they get past, if there's any fear about taking action, how do you get past those fears? And what are the things that have worked for me in my daily life in terms of taking steps toward our goals? Because the universe is listening, and maybe even more importantly, your subconscious mind is listening. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. So, when I study the most successful people in terms of how they take action and the things that I've implemented in my life, there are definitely certain questions that I've asked myself. I think they ask themselves. You should definitely ask yourself. And I think these questions are critical for your success. So, one of the first questions is, what are your daily habits? And I think that's important because when we're thinking about accomplishing a goal, we have this long-term vision. We have this focus on, okay, I want to improve my health, or I want to improve my relationship, or I'm trying to make a career change, or I want to level up my business. So we have this big goal that's going to take time. These things don't happen overnight, right? You don't lose weight overnight. You don't improve a relationship overnight. You don't make, like huge jumps in your business overnight. It's the things you do every day, day in, day out, that determine success and whether or not you reach your goal. And that can be difficult because I think I know I get bored with the daily routine of, okay, every day I got to get up and I got to do the same thing again if I want to reach the goal. And sometimes we lose sight that we're actually making progress. Like, if you have ever worked with a weight loss coach or a trainer, many of them will ask you to take pictures. And sometimes they'll ask you to take pictures of your body every week. And I actually did that exercise for the first time, believe it or not. Yes, I'm an exercise physiologist. Yes, I've been in fitness a million years, but I actually have never gone through that process of taking, weekly pictures to see the progress that you're making. And I did it this summer when I was working with a trainer, and it was amazing because literally there were changes that I saw in my body week to week that I probably never would have noticed if I didn't take the pictures and actually do side by side comparisons. And so you have to come up with a way to be able to measure that progress and realize it, because otherwise I think it can get very frustrating. And just, if you don't see things happening quickly, sometimes we tend to give up. We think nothing's happening, we're not achieving our goal. So I think coming up with ways that we can actually measure, what am I actually accomplishing on a weekly basis? Another question: when do you wake up? Do you constantly hit the snooze button, or do you get out of bed immediately after your alarm goes off? Do you even need an alarm to wake up in the morning? And I think that for most people, they probably think, oh, it's no big deal if I hit the snooze button for 5 or 10 extra minutes. But believe it or not, it is actually sending a message to your subconscious that you are not taking your goals and dreams seriously, that it's okay to just procrastinate another 5 or 10 minutes. And it sounds crazy, but it's all these little habits that we do every day, negative habits, bad habits, that keep reinforcing those thought patterns and make it even harder and harder to break the habit. If your goal is, let's say, I want to get up a half an hour earlier because I'm working on something and I need extra time during the day. Maybe you're writing a book, or maybe it's when you need to exercise. So every time you hit that snooze button, you're basically saying to your subconscious mind, oh, this isn't really that important because I'm just going to stay in bed for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even 30 minutes. So take that really seriously. Try to make an effort to, when I say I'm going to get up, get up. What is the first thing that you do in the morning? So I came across this great book, and a bunch of you, I'm sure, have probably heard of it already, but it's called Make Your Bed: Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. And it's an amazing book. So it was based on a commencement day on Admiral William H. McRaven addressing the graduating class of the University of Texas at Austin, and basically, taking inspiration from the university's slogan. He shared the 10 principles he learned during his Navy SEAL training that helped him overcome challenges not only in his training and naval career, but also throughout his life. And so this is a way, making your bed actually is a way to show your subconscious mind you are serious about changing your habits, and you actually start the day by accomplishing something. So I thought that was fascinating. I mean, I've actually made my bed for years, but there were, believe me, probably the majority of my 20s and 30s and maybe even into my 40s that I didn't make my bed, that I just got up and left it and whatever. And I never really thought about how does that, how does not doing that affect how the rest of my day is going to go? And it seems like such like a tiny, minuscule little thing that shouldn't make any difference. But when you think about it from the perspective of that one simple act that literally probably doesn't even take 5 minutes, allows you to start the day by already having an accomplishment, it sets up your mindset to be able to have the energy to do all the other things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. And it's interesting because it reminded me of a really compelling story I had read once about changing habits. And it was about this guy who wanted to learn how to play the guitar. But every day would go by and the guitar would sit in his closet untouched. And, he'd get up the next day, say, oh, I should practice. I need to practice. Go about his day, forget about it. Next day, end of the day, didn't practice. So the good news is that he actually was able to break this habit. He realized that the reason he stopped practicing was because the guitar was a full 20 seconds away from when he got out of bed in the closet. So it was out of sight and all the way over there, which seems ridiculous when you think about it. Like, you only have to walk 20 seconds to get to it. But the fact that it was in the closet, he didn't see it as soon as he got up. He didn't think about it. So he tried something so simple, but seriously life-changing and really the key. He put the guitar on a stand between his bed and the TV. And in addition to that, he took the batteries from the remote and put those 20 seconds away in the closet. So this way, every day when he got up, he was faced with the guitar, and he actually didn't have to motivate himself to get up, to go in the closet, to get it, to sit down to practice. And he avoided mindless TV watching. So that story is just amazing. I mean, it seems so simple, but yet literally just by rearranging your room and making one thing easier and another thing more difficult, meaning the guitar's in sight, it's right there, it's easy to get to. Now you've taken the batteries out of your remote, it's in the closet, it's harder to get to. Those simple things, those two simple things were all he needed to do to be motivated to play the guitar every day. Amazing. So you're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll explore more about the Spark method and taking action to accomplish your dreams. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. But before we continue, I want to make sure everyone knows how to reach out to me. You can find me at my website, www.drdianehayden.com. That's DRDIANEHAYDEN.com. Or I have two holistic lifestyle publications, one in Connecticut, which is naturalnutmeg.com, and one in Southwest Florida, essentialnaples.com. So we are talking about my Spark method, and specifically my pillar on taking action. And I love this because there's tons of little tips and tricks. We just talked a little bit about kind of a crazy story of how a guy changed a habit of procrastinating practicing the guitar simply by putting the guitar in front of him and taking the batteries out of his remote control so he wasn't tempted to just go and immediately turn on the TV and start watching TV. So it's really crazy, but literally there are these little, tiny little tricks that, are so simple to implement. So I wanted to get into more of the meat of things that I've done in my life in terms of daily routine and what I think is really life changing in terms of being able to accomplish my goals. And I have 5 steps, and I basically came up with this years ago, and it's something I do pretty much every day. And it really helps me to break down projects and to stay focused and all of that. So I'm going to go through each one and then we'll talk a little bit more about them specifically. But the first thing I do is plan it. And that's knowing what you need to do when you enter the day. The second thing is limiting your major tasks to 3. So you might have a million projects going on. I mean, for me, I publish 2 magazines. I do podcasts and this internet radio show. I'm working with advertisers to help them come up with creative and content for our magazines. I do public speaking. I speak at conferences. I mean, I have a lot of any given day, a bunch of different projects potentially going on, deadlines for magazines and things like that. But I still try to limit my tasks, the things that I know I have to accomplish every day, to 3 tasks. Then I come up with a time limit. So knowing the specific amount of time for what each of those tasks are going to take. And essentially, so time limit, how much time in which I could work, and time specific, how much each task is going to take. And the last one, definitely for me, the most important one, is blocking interruptions. So making sure I'm not going to be interrupted by coworkers, by family, and that I don't distract myself with social media or phone calls, or my big one is email. So those are the 5 things that I pretty much do on a daily basis in terms of structuring my day. So we'll talk about each of them in a little bit more detail. So plan it. So at the end of every day, basically before I'm, when I'm about to stop working, I take out my project list and I look at, what do I want? What are the 3 most important things that I need to do tomorrow? So, and I have from time to time actually used a sheet with a checkbox, and I don't always do that anymore, but essentially like writing out each of those tasks and then having a checkbox when I accomplish them. And I also have another list on another page where I keep items that I can work on the next day if I finish the 3 tasks at hand. And I transpose that every day. So, eliminating things that have been taken care of, writing down again what I still want to do, goals I need to accomplish, and then adding new items. So that's the planet. At the end of every day, write down the 3 things that you're going to accomplish the next day. Even on a Friday, like literally, because if you wait till Sunday to do it for Monday, chances are you're probably not going to do it. So literally Friday afternoon, I write the 3 things that I'm going to do for Monday. So, and that honestly takes care of limiting your project as well. The 3, planning it, writing down what the 3 things are that you're going to accomplish, and keeping it to 3. Time limiting. So I usually try to get these things done in the beginning of the day. So typically my daily habits, how my day starts are I get up, obviously I make my bed, I meditate. On most days, I do 10 minutes of a core training routine. Then I have breakfast, and then I start my 2 hours of work. And I try to accomplish those 3 tasks if I can in those 2 hours. And then literally the rest of the day could be, I have time set aside for exercise, meal planning, obviously other things that I have to work on for my business. But those are all things that are not requirements, I guess I'll say. The 3 things that I say at the end of the day that I'm going to get done the next day, I do those in the first 2 hours of the day. And then I know that those are going to get completed. And I usually try to have an idea of how much time each item is going to take, or at least the amount of time I'm willing to devote for it. So that in the beginning when I started doing this, I got in trouble with thinking I could accomplish way more than I could. So, writing down 3 tasks that would have taken me 3 days to complete instead of, half of a day. So I've gotten very good at, okay, what are 3 things that I can do tomorrow that are important, that are going to move my business forward and that I can get done in 2 hours. And even if it's like a even if it's a part of a bigger task, I count that as, so let's just say, for example, okay, we're going to deadline and I've got to edit the entire magazine. Now that could take me literally sometimes 6 hours. So obviously that's not something I'm going to accomplish in 2 hours. But what I can do, there's a part of that I can take a part of that 2 hours to either review certain aspects of the magazine that I know I can get done, meaning like proofing the cover. That might only take me 15 or 20 minutes. Writing my publisher's letter, that might take me 30 minutes. So it's breaking things down into these smaller chunks as well. Don't, like I said, don't give yourself tasks that are going to take way more than a couple of hours, and then you wind up feeling frustrated because you haven't accomplished anything. And then the last one is free from interruption. Like I said, this is the hardest for me. But I know that if I do this upfront investment, it leaves me available for so much more later in the day. So, not interrupting yourself with social media, with emails, not checking your phone. Um, Sometimes I don't even open my browser if I can do that. If my tasks do not require me to be on the internet for some reason researching something, I won't even open my browser. So that way I'm not, you know, tempted to go to social media, or not tempted to look at my email, or I don't have my email, pinging me every 5 minutes that an email has come in. So, oh, the other thing to keep in mind, the other thing that I do that has been extremely helpful for me is, and I think this will work for a lot of you too, especially if you have the mind like I do, where you're working on something and all of a sudden a thought will pop up like, oh, shoot, I've got to, remember to do XYZ. Or I just had a really great idea for something I want to implement in my business. Just keep a blank piece of paper every day with a pen next to it, and take 2 seconds and write it down. Because literally, I'm notorious. Every time I start to focus on something, I inevitably have other unrelated, random, but important thoughts popping into my head, like, don't forget to don't forget to pay this bill, or, oh, what a great idea for a social media post, or, oh, I've got an idea for, the next cover, or I have to call one of my advertisers, whatever, literally, that I probably could come up with 50 million things that's going to come through my mind during the 2 hours I'm trying to focus. So I keep a piece of paper. I write these things down. That way I can get it out of my head. It's on paper. I know I'm not going to forget about it. And I can go back and schedule whenever I have to, when I need to do those things at a later time. And it's not distracting me from my focus, thinking, you know, I feel like if I don't do that, then it's constantly in the back of my mind. Got to remember to do that. Got to remember to do that. And now I'm not focused on, my 2 hours of tasks that I need to do. So, just reviewing, plan it, know what you need to do when you start the day, and do that the day before if you can. Limit your project. I limit my day to 3 tasks that I'm going to accomplish. Limit the amount of time that you're going to accomplish 3 tasks. Usually for me, it's 2 hours in the morning. Have a general idea of how much each item is going to take. So make sure that each of your 3 tasks you can get done, best case scenario in the 2 hours. And free from distractions or interruptions, making sure that, your coworkers or your family know that this is your 2-hour block, and also that you stay true to it by not interrupting yourself or getting distracted with email, social media, any of that other stuff. So if you really think about these 5 components and kind of, boil them down a little bit further, you'll notice that they really make up 3 main categories: time. 2 of the 5 are related to time limits and specifics. Choices. 2 of the 5 are related to limiting your choices and focusing only on those choices, and distractions, eliminating all distractions or interruptions. And, there's a lot of power in knowing those components. Like this, I actually think the strategy, this daily habit is great for someone who's writing a book, because literally writing a book is when I think about it, it's an overwhelming task. Like, you know, oh my gosh, how am I going to put together, where am I going to find the time to come up with, what's an average book, 200 plus pages of copy. But if you break it down into daily tasks, it becomes way more manageable. So if you think about it from the perspective of, let's say let's say you can write 2,000 words a day. It's totally manageable. And if that sounds like a lot, actually do this exercise, sit down one day and write 2,000 words and see how long it takes you. It's totally manageable. So let's say, the average book is 70,000 words. If you write 2,000 words a day, you'll have a book in 35 days. And literally, some days you might be able to write more, 3,000 to 4,000 words. And suddenly you have written a book in less than 20 days. When you think about it from that perspective, a writing coach gave me that little, told me that little trick one day. And I was like, why didn't I think of it that way? Like, why am I thinking about it as this huge, overwhelming task? Just think about, okay, what do I need to do every day? 2,000 words. And if you can do that, you've got a book in 35 days, which seems crazy that you can write a book in barely, a little over a month. But start with those small action steps, like 2,000 words a day. So we are going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. When we come back, we'll be talking more about simple strategies to take action in your life. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden, and I am talking today about the SPARK method and my third pillar, taking action. But before we get into that, I want to just make sure you guys all have my contact info. www.drdianehayden.com is my website, or you can also find me at www.naturalnutmeg.com or essentialnaples.com. And if any of you are interested in learning more about holistic lifestyle or natural medicine, definitely check out either of those two publications. They are local. Natural Nutmeg serves all of Connecticut and Essential Naples serves Southwest Florida, but the content is just amazing. It's all written by local holistic practitioners, all kinds of topics, everything from how to treat chronic health issues naturally to information about fitness, nutrition, green living, organic products, pretty much you name it, all information that anyone can use no matter where you live. And if you live in Connecticut or Southwest Florida, you can actually reach out to those practitioners and go see them. And now that everybody's doing more virtual stuff, definitely a lot of them do telemedicine now and virtual appointments and sessions and things like that. So definitely check those resources out for sure. So we are talking about taking action, and I was telling you guys a little bit about the daily habits that I have and the 5 strategies that I use, planning my day, planning the next day, the night before actually. So knowing what I need to do when I get up that day, limiting my tasks to 3 that I'm going to work on and doing that first thing in the morning, the first 2 hours that I'm working. So limiting the amount of time that you're going to work on your tasks, knowing how much time each task is going to take so you don't overbook yourself, and making sure that you are free from interruption for your 2-hour block. So you're not interrupted by people or social media or email. And I know that's easier said than done. Believe me, my biggest challenge is not checking email minute to minute, like I'm like I'm a neurosurgeon and, I've got to check my email every 5 seconds. Nothing is that important in the work that I do, but you just get into a habit sometimes and you can't get away from that. But I'm trying to do better every day for sure. So we've talked a lot about strategy. And I know strategy is great because people like to hear, well, what do you do? How do you structure your day so you get all these things accomplished, and what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. But many people also ask me, and I also struggled with this for years, the question why I didn't want to take action, or why it's so difficult to take action. What was it that was always stopping me or other people from, doing what you need to do on a daily basis? And I think honestly, most of it just comes down to getting out of your head. Literally, it really comes down to the things that you think. And I think that if you have a meditation practice, I mean, definitely for me, I've learned this over the years that when I'm regularly meditating, it is much easier for me to get out of my head and get out of, distracting thoughts or negative thoughts, and basically just do what I have to do, just move on. So I think that practice of meditation allows you to quickly recognize when you have a thought that's not productive and just let that thought go. I mean, that's basically the practice of meditation. Is you're going to have thoughts all the time unless you've been meditating for, 50 years and you're a serious professional meditator. And even then, I think even people who are that dedicated and proficient still have thoughts. I don't think it's possible to completely eradicate thoughts. So the purpose of meditation is not to not have thoughts. That's going to happen, but it's being able to let them go. When a thought comes into your head, just let it go. Don't ruminate on it. Don't focus on it, and go back to those just moments of pure silence. And the longer you can stretch those moments, I believe the more present you become, and the better you become at not reacting in situations, and the better you become at recognizing when you have not so productive thoughts or negative thoughts, and just letting those go. So like I said, I think really why I struggled with taking action a lot of times was just what was going on in my head. What were the things that I was thinking about? Could I get out of my head? So here's a typical day for most of us, definitely for me. So the alarm goes off. What's your first thought? Is it hit the snooze? I'm still tired. It's so warm under the comforter. Probably any or all of those. I know when I don't want to get out of bed, I probably think about all those. And honestly, literally all of that is BS. It's just your subconscious trying to protect you from the big bad world, which sounds crazy, but if you do any kind of study or research on the subconscious mind, the difference between the conscious mind, the thoughts you think, and the subconscious mind, which basically programs your habits and how you react and all kinds of things like that. The difference is that the role of the subconscious mind is basically to protect you. So it's like a primal function that we've evolved, but we still have. So our subconscious mind is here to protect us. And the problem is it doesn't know what it's protecting us from. Basically, it's still in some sort of survival mechanism of, okay, anything related to change is dangerous. And so I'm going to protect this person from change. They're not going to transform their body because that's change. They're not going to make a career change or level up their business because that's change. They're not going to get out of a bad relationship because that's change. So you would think, wow, like those are all positive, amazing things. Why is it that my mind doesn't want, to have that for me? But you can't think of your subconscious mind as like this rational thing, because it's not. All it's looking at is, okay, stay the same. That's protection. Change, that's danger. So I have to protect this person, the body, from danger or change. So literally, like those thoughts, anything related to not getting out of bed is probably a programmed thought from your subconscious that's just trying to protect you. When I think about it from that perspective, I'm like, okay, well, that's ridiculous. There's nothing that I know of right now that's going to harm me from getting out of bed other than like, oh, it's so warm in here and I don't want to or whatever. So just eliminate that thought. Like literally think it just like you're meditating. Thought comes into your head, let it go and get out of bed. And it works. I'm going to go through a couple of examples because literally it works this way for everything. I've thought through like all of these different examples. I'm like, yep, subconscious trying to protect you. Time to exercise. You've made a plan that you're going to go to the gym that day, or you've set aside time, you're going to go to the gym and work out. And as soon as that time rolls around, first thought, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired today. I don't feel like driving to the gym. Oh, it's cold and rainy outside. I'll work out tomorrow. Again, all those thoughts are coming from your subconscious mind trying to protect you. Going to the gym is change. It's not, like sitting in your cozy, warm house. It's not, making you get out of bed. It's basically something that you're doing that's change. And I think you'll notice when you start to actually change these habits and, for example, not hitting the snooze button, getting up right away, getting over, eliminating the thought about exercise and just, going and doing the exercise. Maybe it's better for you to do it first thing in the morning. Sometimes that, works better for people. The more consecutive days that you can do those things, you'll start to have less and less of these negative thoughts or, not productive thoughts trying to, you know, convince you not to do the thing that you need to do. So it's almost like you're changing, well, it is like you're changing the neural pathways in your brain to not think the same way. So you'll find that you get less and less and less of that. So what about like related to food, lunchtime or dinner? First thought, I don't have time to make a healthy salad. Like I'm in the middle of a big project or I've got a deadline for work. I don't have time to do that. I don't have the right ingredients in my refrigerator. I'm craving fill in the blank, whatever. I don't feel like eating a salad. I'd rather go get a cheeseburger or whatever it is. I already blew it. This is a big one. I already blew it this week. So why bother? Like I have worked with so many people over the years with weight loss. Like that was my previous life before I was a holistic lifestyle publisher. I worked with a lot of people in terms of training and weight loss and all of that. And I can't tell you how many people would say or had this mindset that if they, you know, cheated, quote unquote, on their meal plan or they, fell off the wagon, whatever you want to call it, they went out to dinner, overdid it, or they were trying to cut back on alcohol, had too much to drink, whatever it is. Once they did that, they just felt like the rest of the week was shot. And like that's a mindset that I just want to beat out of people because I feel like, oh my gosh, no, just get up the next day and go back to your plan. Like literally it happens to everybody, best laid plans, right? We've got a week. We're going to do everything right. We're going to exercise every day. We're going to eat right every day. It never works out that way. Like literally things happen and come up and change and whatever that you have to adapt to on any given day. And you can't, eat the healthy meal that you thought you were going to be able to. So you just got to get up the next day and go back to doing what you were, what your plan is. That's how people stay on track and actually accomplish losing weight. It's not, feeling like, oh, I blew it, so I might as well just give up and not worry about the rest of the day. You can't look at it from that perspective. Otherwise, potentially every week is going to be like that. And then, before you know it, a whole month has gone by and you have not lost any weight, or worse, you've gained weight back. So that was a huge mindset, like strategy or thing that I taught people all the time was don't even worry about it. Just put it out of your head. You didn't get to do what you wanted to do. You didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish today. And really it works for anything. I'm just using weight loss as an example, but let's say, you were working on something for your business and you couldn't accomplish it. I mean, would you literally throw the rest of the week out the window? No, you got to go up and go to your job the next day. Same thing, just get that negative nonsense thoughts out of your mind and just focus on, okay, tomorrow's another day. I'm going to get up and I'm going to have this plan again, and I'm going to do my best to, accomplish it. So, and then the last thing is business, like you've scheduled everything we're talking about today. You've scheduled time to write or to work on your dream. First thought, oh, I have a million emails I have to answer, or I need to run these errands, or oh, I wonder what's going on social media. I'm going to pop over there. And then, before you know it, 30 minutes have gone by scrolling. It's all, again, it's the same thing. It's your subconscious mind just trying to protect you because, doing these things is change. It's different from what you're used to doing every single day. And your mind sees that as change. And initially it sees it as danger and it needs to protect you. So that's where all these thoughts come from. And I think once I realized that that's how my mind worked, that's really how everyone's mind works. Now I can look at it from the perspective of, okay, I recognize that thought. Like it's a distraction thought, wondering what's going on social media or feeling like I need to check my email every 5 minutes. That's a distraction thought. And it's my subconscious programming to keep me safe. Even though it doesn't, even as I'm saying it to you, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm like, it's probably never going to make any sense to me because I'm like, what does that even mean? Why is it trying to keep me safe? I'm trying to accomplish my goal. I'm going to be, I'm going to have a better business. I'm going to have a better lifestyle. I'm going to be, feel more accomplished, feel more satisfied. And yet, shouldn't my mind be trying to help me do these things? But you can't think of it that way. You have to think of it from this perspective of the subconscious doesn't rationalize. It only sees change as danger. And so again, the more times you can start creating these good habits, getting up when you say you're going to get up, not allowing distractions, doing the things you're going to say every day. The more you do these habits, the more you have these healthy habits day after day, you start to rewrite that subconscious programming, and you will find definitely they don't go away permanently, but you will find that you have less and less of those distractive or non-productive thoughts where your subconscious is just trying to protect you. So we are going to take a quick break. This is the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden, and I am talking today about one of my pillars of the Spark method called action. And it's all about taking action in your life. How do you do that on a regular basis? And some of the strategies we've talked about are the 5 strategies that I use on a daily basis are planning your day. So the night before, I actually plan what I need to do the next day. Limiting that to 3 tasks. So knowing or picking the 3 things that I want to accomplish the next day and the specific amount of time in which I'm going to work, and then knowing how much time each of those tasks is going to take. So making sure that it's I'm able to accomplish that. I'm not picking tasks that are going to be way longer than what I can do in the 2-hour block that I usually give myself. So plan it, limit it to 3 tasks, time limit, meaning your total time limit of 2 hours for me, time specific for each task, and then free from interruption. So limiting interruptions for that 2 hours so you can completely focus on accomplishing those tasks. And those are the 5 steps that I've implemented in my daily routine. And it really has helped me enormously in terms of accomplishing my goals. And then I also have been talking about, why is it that we procrastinate, or why is it that we don't take action to work on our goals? And really, it just comes down to, getting out of your head and being able to recognize when you have distracting thoughts or negative thoughts or non-productive thoughts, thoughts that pop into your head, to not focus on what you're trying to accomplish, allowing you to get distracted and all of that. And honestly, like I've been saying, your subconscious mind has one role, and that's to protect you from danger, which is another word for change. And so it can't help sending these thoughts into your mind. But I found time and time again, if I ignore the thought and I take action within a few minutes, 100% of the time, I accomplish the workout, I accomplish getting out of bed on time, I accomplish making the healthy meal, and I accomplish, completing my tasks for the day. And I've literally, once you get involved in doing the work, you literally forget about all those other random thoughts distracting you from starting the task. I definitely have thoughts while I'm doing the task, and I keep that blank piece of paper, just write stuff down so I can get those out of my head and I can go back to focusing on that. So I think it's really fascinating to me, the study that I've done on how our brain works, our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and just understanding the purpose of it has helped me a lot in terms of realizing, why do I have these thoughts? Because I used to get caught up a lot in thinking that if I was having thoughts that was distracting me or preventing me from working towards a goal, that it meant I wasn't I was going down the wrong path. So in other words, if I had a negative thought about something like, I don't feel like working on this task, or, I don't feel like doing this workout, or I don't feel like getting out of bed, at the time I'm supposed to get out of bed. I used to think that that meant I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. Like I wasn't passionate about my dream or my goal. And that really took me down a bad path because I realized that it wasn't that I wasn't passionate about something. It was that the subconscious mind throws these thoughts out there just to protect you. And if you go down that path of thinking, "Oh, I'm in the wrong career, or I'm in the wrong relationship, or, you know, I'm not maybe I'm just not um good enough, or my body's not designed to be able to do this workout, or, I'll never be a healthy eater because I'm not passionate about it." If you go down that path, it's very dangerous, I think, because my belief now is that it's not that you're not, I mean, it can be that you are not doing your passion. Let me just put that out there, because in some cases, yes. In some cases, if you have thoughts like that, it could be that you aren't fulfilling your passion. So I don't want to make it sound like, in every case, that's never the case, because I think that could be a possibility. And that's something that you need to spend time meditating on and doing some soul searching, or maybe working with a coach, which I highly recommend. I've worked with a coach my entire life, both life coach, business coach, spiritual coach. I can't recommend that enough, because sometimes you can't get out of your own head and you can't be objective about it. And they are trained to be able to ask you the right questions to really get at, what it is your soul's trying to speak to you, or what your purpose might be. So definitely, don't discount that. It could be a possibility that you aren't, living your passion, for sure. But for me, I kept coming back to, well, I do love what I do and I am passionate about it. And, you know, this lifestyle does work for me, and the kind of work I do does work for me. So how come I'm not jumping out of bed, like, bouncing out of bed every day, wanting to get to work to do this? And so I had to realize that it wasn't that I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. It was that this is the normal process of your subconscious sending you these kinds of thoughts, because it thinks it's keeping you safe. It's trying to protect you from the big bad world. And once I realized that, it was it was relieving, actually, to know that, okay, you know, as strange as it sounds, it's normal. Like, you're just automatically going to get those thoughts. And so you just have to be able to eliminate that, let it go, like you do in your meditation, and do what you need to do. Like, okay, the alarm goes off. the first thought that pops into my head, oh, don't really want to get out of bed. I'm kind of still tired, whatever. I'll give myself a couple of minutes and then I'm up. And same thing with just about everything else that I do. And I'm not saying that I do that every single day, because that's, like, I don't, well, with the exception of maybe Tom Brady, I don't know that many people that are that 100% disciplined and dedicated and whatever. It's, sort of like an ongoing process. But most times I'm pretty good about just getting the thought out of my head and doing what I need to do. And it's whether it's getting out of bed or exercising. And it's funny, people laugh like, oh, you're an exercise physiologist. You must love to exercise every single day. It's like it's the only thing you want to do all day. And while I have to admit, yes, more often than not, I do enjoy whatever my workout's going to be, whether I'm going to the gym and lifting, or I'm a runner, or I'm doing, some type of metabolic conditioning workout or whatever it is. Most days it's not that difficult for me to do it. I want to do it. But believe me, there are days when, if I'm in Connecticut, and it's November and it's cold and rainy out, I'm not looking forward to doing that workout. Even if all I have to do is like walk across the street and go to our fitness center in our complex, I still have to go outside. But anyway, so there are days, I have them too, where, oh, I don't really feel like doing that. And then as long as you let those thoughts ruminate and ruminate and ruminate, more often than not, you don't do it, right? Like, you literally do not get to, you could very easily pass it off and just not get to it. And same thing with tasks that I do for my business, oh, I don't feel like doing that. I've got a million emails to answer. I can very easily just jump into that whole email bandwagon and start checking email. And literally an hour, 2 hours goes by and I haven't accomplished my task. So, I think that it happens to everybody. And literally it's all about recognizing that is what your subconscious is going to do to you. And it's normal. It happens to everybody. It's, there to protect us from danger, except now we don't have a saber-toothed tiger that's chasing us down the road most often than not. And, it's just, I have found that when I realized that these were normal thoughts that were just going to occur, that it was easier for me to put them aside. And like I said before, meditation has helped me enormously in terms of being able to say, okay, that's a, primal subconscious protection thought. Get rid of it. I'm just going to let it go. And I'm going to focus on, what do I need to do? And that, that's the thing that I keep at the forefront of my mind, is remembering that and trying to get better every day at just letting those thoughts go and getting closer to, what is it, being able to just get to it, essentially, like push that out of my head and get to what I'm supposed to be doing for the day, what I want to do for the day. And I think that, the more often you can do that, it's just, like I said, it's almost like recreating these neural pathways, and you'll notice that those thoughts become less and less. It won't go away forever, but you will definitely, notice it from day to day that you're having them less and less, and it's easier for you to stay focused, and it's easier for you to start things and accomplish things and just be on your way to accomplishing everything that you want to accomplish in your life. So I want to thank you all for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show. Please join me the first and third Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on the Dr. Diane Show, where we discuss more about the power of thoughts and beliefs and the impact they have on your life. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next time. Thank you for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show, revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Tune in every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. Center your thoughts on what you want and shut the door on every suggestion of fear, worry, or lack from your own consciousness or the consciousness around you. Once you master that, everything is possible. To learn more about me, Dr. Diane, and receive a free digital subscription of my magazine, visit naturalnutmeg.com.